You think your gun is legally owned and properly stored until an officer tells you otherwise. One mistake, one misunderstanding of the rules, and suddenly you're facing felony charges. I'm Danny Izquierdo, a criminal defense attorney in Florida, and I help responsible gun owners avoid legal traps most people don't even know exist. In this video, I'll break down the hidden rules of firearm possession in Florida, what you're allowed to carry, where you can carry it, and how quickly it can go wrong, so you stay on the right side of the law, avoid life-changing consequences, and protect your rights without putting yourself at risk. Who can legally own a gun in Florida? Let's jump straight in. In Florida, a lot of people assume gun ownership is simple. Be an adult, don't be a felon, and you're fine. But the real risk is the hidden disqualifier. Certain misdemeanor situations can still kill your gun rights under federal law, especially anything that qualifies as a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence. And restraining orders and injunctions can also block possession while they're in effect. Florida law has very specific restrictions tied to domestic violence injunctions. Here's the part that trips up normal people. Florida law and federal law don't always line up. You might complete probation. You might have something sealed. You might think you're good to go. And then you find out at the worst possible time that federal law still treats you as prohibited. So if you have any history with felony charges, domestic violence allegations, or injunctions, don't guess. Confirm before you buy, carry, or even handle a firearm. Now let's talk about where people get arrested, even when they thought they were carrying legally. And that's where you can and can't carry. See, Florida's carry rules can feel simple until you walk into the wrong building or the wrong kind of business with the wrong assumption. There are location restrictions that can apply even if you are otherwise allowed to carry. The list includes places like schools, courthouses, and certain secure areas like an airport, which is considered a sterile zone, plus anywhere firearms are prohibited under federal law. And here's the real-life issue: people don't plan their day around these restrictions. They stop for food, they run an errand, they walk into a government building for just a minute. That's how you go from normal day to criminal charge. If you're unsure about a location, the safest move is to leave it secured in a lawful way and avoid turning a misunderstanding into an arrest. Now, the next topic is where Florida law has shifted recently and confusion is high. Open carry is a trap zone right now. For years, Florida's general rule was that open carry was broadly prohibited, with narrow exceptions like fishing, camping, hunting, and going to or from those activities. But Florida's open carry landscape has been changing in the courts, and as of late 2025, there was a major court development that created widespread confusion about what's allowed and what's still restricted. Here's the takeaway for a normal person trying to stay out of trouble. Do not assume that the rule you heard last year is still the rule today. Open carry questions are exactly the kind of thing that can go from "I thought it was legal" to "you're in handcuffs," depending on where you are, what you're doing, and what's happening in the courts. So if you're going to carry, keep it conservative and confirm the current rule before you rely on an exception. Now let's hit the area that gets people jammed up more than almost anything else: guns in cars. What's actually allowed? Florida generally allows a firearm in your vehicle even without a carry license, but the details matter. The key phrase you'll hear is securely encased. Florida law defines securely encased with specific examples like a glove compartment, snapped holster, gun case, or closed container that has to be opened to access the firearm. Where people get into trouble is when the firearm is effectively sitting out, loose, or positioned in a way that looks immediately usable. And here's another hidden risk. If a minor can access the firearm because it wasn't properly secured, that can trigger serious legal consequences even if nothing bad happened. So if you keep a firearm in your vehicle, treat storage like a legal checklist, not a casual habit. Now we need to address the biggest myth that gets people destroyed in court. And that is, stand your ground is not a free pass. Stand your ground gets talked about like it's a magic shield. It's not. Self-defense claims depend on the facts, your conduct, and whether you were somewhere you had a legal right to be while acting lawfully. And even when self-defense may apply, it doesn't mean you won't be arrested in the moment. It's a defense you raise through the legal process, not a guarantee that the street level decision goes your way. If a self-defense incident ever happens, your first priority is safety and medical help where needed. Your second priority is protecting your words, because one rushed sentence can turn defense into confession. Now let's talk about a modern trap that catches a lot of otherwise responsible Floridians. Medical marijuana and firearms, the federal collision. See, medical marijuana is legal under Florida law, but federal law still treats marijuana use as unlawful, and federal firearm rules can treat users as prohibited persons under 18 U.S.C. subsection 922G3. This shows up in a very real way when you try to purchase a firearm. ATF Form 4473 includes a warning that marijuana remains unlawful under federal law regardless of state legalization. And the legal landscape here is evolving fast. There have been major court challenges in 2024 and 2025, including an 11th Circuit decision involving Florida medical marijuana users that signals this issue is being actively litigated. But here's what matters for a viewer right now. Until the law is definitively changed, this is a high-risk area where people accidentally catch serious charges, even if they lie on a federal form or misunderstand what prohibited means. If you are a medical marijuana patient and you own or want to own firearms, this is not the place to guess. You need individualized legal guidance. Now let's wrap this up into a clean checklist you can actually remember. If you only remember one thing, remember this. Florida gun laws look simple, but they're full of traps. Check eligibility before you buy or carry, especially with any DV history or injunctions. No location restrictions before you walk in somewhere you shouldn't. And be extra careful with open carry right now because the rules have been shifting. Store firearms and vehicles the legally correct way, not the convenient way. And don't ignore the federal conflict with marijuana and firearms. If you want to keep protecting yourself and your family, the next video you need is domestic violence in Florida. 5 tips to beat your case, because even a false accusation can flip your life upside down fast. And the early mistakes people make are the ones that cost them the most. See you over there.